On Saturday night, Peter Dutton said the one test of his leadership was Liberal Party internals. Today's decision is about Liberal Party internals. It has nothing to do with Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people or taking Australia forward together. The referendum later this year is about two things. It's about recognition and it's about listening. And the Australian people will decide this referendum, not politicians. The Constitution is the people's document. Only Australian people can change the Constitution. We need to listen to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people on the ground in communities. Listen to the needs and aspirations. Listen to how issues can be solved together and create a better future for everybody. There has been consultation with First Nations people right across Australia. Mr Dutton's criticism is predictable, but despite his obsession, their obsession with the Prime Minister, this is not about politicians. This is about closing the gap. Our guiding principle in this debate has been the Uluru Statement from the heart. The generous request for First Nation leaders to the Australian people to walk together to a better future. And I quote the Uluru Statement: "We seek constitutional reforms to empower our people to take a rightful place in this country. When we have power over our destiny, our children will flourish. They will walk in two worlds, and their culture will be a gift to their country." The Uluru Statement came from regional dialogues with the input of over 1,000 First Nations people across the country. This is about constitutional recognition. Recognition that makes a practical difference on the ground for Indigenous people. Recognition that can help close the gap. Recognition of the 65,000 years of connection to country and culture. Unfortunately, Mr Dutton doesn't know where he stands. Mr Dutton is tying himself in knots. Apparently, he's for a voice, but against it. And his backbenchers won't be bound by this position. That's about as clear as mud. Now, the Prime Minister has met with Mr Dutton 7 times. 7 times. And at no time did Mr Dutton make suggestions to the constitutional amendments. If Mr Dutton supported the voice, he would have supported Ken Wyatt's proposal in the Morrison government, and he didn't. Today is also the anniversary of the release of the Bringing Them Home report. That landmark report, released in 1997, called on the Australian government to apologise to the stolen generations. It took a while, but in 2008, Prime Minister Rudd apologised, alongside with Anthony Albanese and almost all others in the Parliament. But Mr Dutton boycotted the apology. And I hope Mr Dutton doesn't repeat his mistakes of the past. I know there are many good Liberals and senators who support constitutional recognition. MPs like Bridget Archer, who I travelled to Flinders Island with recently. I also want to acknowledge the continued strong support from all states and territories, and their support through their leadership, through premiers and chief ministers of constitutional recognition. I want to say loud and clear, the Labor government supports regional voices. Regional voices are already being rolled out in places like South Australia and Victoria, where there has been much progress. The Voice will make sure that voices in remote and regional communities are heard. And it's simply misleading for Mr Dutton to suggest anything otherwise. I believe that the 2023 referendum will unite Australia. It will bring people together, and it will move Australia forward for a better future. So, together, we say yes to the Uluru Statement from the Heart, and together, let's say yes to constitutional recognition through the voice.